are live, having a few difficulties. Hi, everybody. I'm here with
Peace.
some amazing ladies. Some amazing ladies. So, the beautiful and talented Ty Phoenix and Marie Russo are gracing me today to talk about the year 2022 from an astrological perspective. Now, I'm trying to make sure that this video can be seen by multiple people. Just one second. So
Is
please
there an
excuse
echo?
us. Do you hear an echo? I don't.
No,
Do
I
you, Ty?
don't. No.
Then it's me. Ain't that about a
But we will get started shortly. I'm just trying to make sure that I shared the correct link. Hold on, hold on. This is live in multiple places at once. So please pardon us at the beginning of this.
we need to bring back that I was in here back and waiting for the live like
Ready to party?
not really. This is a facade. It's cold.
Oh, I know. It is
Yeah,
cold. Unbelievably cold.
it's 3 degrees where I am.
That looks much better.
Like this today was just, it was a lot. And I know you're not used to this cold, right, Marie?
What, the cold?
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm somewhat used to it. I mean, uh Georgia gets hot and it gets cold. You get like a smidget of fall and a smidget of spring. So I've grown accustomed to it.
I got you. I got you. That makes me feel better. And Marie, yes, the link from the Spiritual Gangster Certified page is public.
Fantastic. Got it. Shared it to my page.
I don't know how to change the settings on my darn own stream. I don't know what is going on. But let's see. So, yeah, here we go. I can send the link to you. You want what manner would you prefer it?
I have the link, so I shared it to my page.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. We're good. We're good to go.
All right, let me actually share this one then.
Let's see what's going on here.
And peace, Spacebug. We see you on YouTube. Appreciate you, Bo.
Thank you. Now, this has been an interesting year to say the least, and we did have a few discussions about some stuff, but I don't know, ladies. I was thinking to start with what was fresh on mine. What do you think, Ty?
Whoa. 2022 in review. Wow. Where should we begin?
It's been a lot.
We can go backwards. Like we could start with recent events and then I guess work our way back, through the year.
Sure.
Or we can start from the beginning and work our way up. So,
Well, a lot of information that you guys gave about like several different transits have just played out so clearly and so plainly. What I think is great about that is it gives people who don't understand astrological connections to, I guess, everyday events for you to learn and to see that you can, in fact, observe these things. So,
Right. And it kind of makes it apparent that, we say, or we've said on other shows that we've done, there isn't much changing anything. You can see that in hindsight. We can speculate based off of what the planetary energies are, of what they'll include, and we choose the most common manifestations for that. But as you've seen from when we started at the beginning of the year till now, the majority of everything, just based off of how we track the planets and stars, came to pass. But if you look back in hindsight, you realize it was going to, and it indicated that it was going to manifest itself in that manner, regardless of whether we looked at it or not. And I think that's fascinating to me overall. Hey, Ramen Redman. He said, hey, ladies.
hi.
as Rockman. His name is Rockman.
Rockman Redman.
Hi, Red. You know what I think we could really talk about? Like Saturn and Aquarius. Like,
ooh, yes, because we're almost to the end of that shit.
I mean, really, like, I think we touched on it on several different shows, and people don't get it. I mean, with now even with Meg the Stallion being an Aquarius and Young Miami from the City Girls an Aquarius and Tory Lanez is a Leo. I feel like there has not been enough emphasis placed on the fact that Leos and Aquariuses, Saturn is going to whip you into shape one way or another. I mean, we talked about this like Saturn Aquarius.
Indeed.
You did a post, Janae,
Yes.
about the young woman that it's not coming to me right.
Shanquella
Shanquella
Robinson.
Robinson.
Yeah.
Like this whole idea of you picking the wrong friends, the wrong sleep mates. I was about to say something else that was a little more tacky. You picking the wrong, friends with benefits. Like you have to be very selective about your surroundings, your associates. It's showing up all throughout all of these stories in 2022, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like,
definitely.
I mean, even Meg and Tory, I'm not getting into the legalities, but
Right.
the fact that they chose to be in each other's lives, that one decision, I'm going to hang out with her, I'm going to date him, I'm going to hang out, I'm going to go to, the Kylie Jenner party or whatever, like whatever happened in that case where the whole situation occurred. It happened at Kylie Jenner's party or leaving her house or something like that. I'm just saying, like, your decision about who you choose to associate with, be around, be romantic partners with, all of that. Saturn in Aquarius is not cutting any corners. Like,
and I think it's absolutely amazing as, and that might be the wrong choice of words considering what people have been going through. This is the Saturn and Aquarius babies have been experiencing their Saturn returns. Even you bringing up the fact that Tory Lanez receiving the guilty verdict, this is his Saturn return. He has Saturn in Aquarius at 15 degrees. But what's fascinating about this is that we're seeing this play on social media, on the internet, on technology, which is Aquarius, which is not how it was for, Saturn in Capricorn, and then you have Saturn in Sagittarius. It may have been talked about, but it wasn't as pronounced. Like, this is specifically observations astrologically that we can see that said you're going to see Saturn live and direct on your technology. And because everyone is on social media, Saturn in social media, we've seen all kind of changes from Elon Musk acquiring Twitter and the clusterfuck that keeps happening over there.
Can I just tell you, I don't want to like put my, planetary coordinates out there in the world like that. Not that it's like super secret. And I know people are like overly protective sometimes about their charts.
Yeah.
But I'll just put it to you like this. Elon Musk's chart is closely similar to mine. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not I'm not gonna say like when my birthday is per se, but I'm just gonna say very, very, very close. Like within 5 days. Like we're like.
You sound like me and Coach Stormy. Only it's more days. So and
being a Cancer sun, I do believe him purchasing a communications corporation, organization, whatever. Gemini's your 12th house. Like I would have waited until Mars left my 12th house. I believe he has Venus in Gemini. I have Venus in Cancer, but I believe he has Venus in Gemini, and I know Venus's resources, and I would have waited until Mars went direct over my Venus in Gemini to close that deal. There were several different incidents where he almost did not purchase Twitter. Remember, he said, "You guys got to give me a correct count. These numbers look fake. These are bots over here. I needed an exact head count of how many people have real people who have real accounts on Twitter," and they were denying him the answer. That was the first time. Then I don't know, something else happened, and then the deal went through, but he's not getting the warm reception.
No.
That, and I feel like we should pull up his chart maybe, and like I'm very familiar with his chart
because of the similarities.
It's so close to my chart. And I'm like, bro, like all that money and you don't have an astrologer? Like, why did you purchase a communications organization while Mars was retrograde in the sign of communication? Like, I'm confused. Like,
There was a lot that was info, and I wonder, I had this thought, like when he tried to back out, and I'm all like, oh, now he reaches for consultation. That was like the back of my head, like someone's all like, no, but that Saturn in Aquarius, he was forced, the Uranus in Taurus, for his 11, which is for Cancer, the 11th house,
Right.
being that let's not forget his involvement with a Taurus sun and a Gemini when the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial was going on, and he was subsequently brought up in that debacle as well. So there's a lot of. That's why I said this Saturn in Aquarius is very interesting as far as being able to observe astrologically, because it's going to happen on technology. Along with its square to Uranus and Taurus, we're going to see this all on social media, and we have. But yeah, if we can bring up his chart. I think I even did something on his chart a month or so ago.
Okay.
yeah, I'm looking at my phone.
So do you have it handy? You can
I'm
share
looking at
if
It's
you
on
do.
my Facebook.
And then the response from the people, Aquarius and Uranus, to him and the things that have been going on. And then that's been going on, of course, while Mars is in Gemini, which is a transit that I didn't expect any different from, but some interesting things have happened.
Yes, yes, Venus, I'm looking at now on my phone. Yes, Venus at 19 degrees of Gemini. I personally would have waited until Mars station direct, moving back forward through Gemini, um, crossing that Venus, but not in a retrograde position direct. I would have waited for that, which means, and 19 degrees Gemini. Now, Saturn was trining that for a while. I know Saturn Venus is like contractual partnerships, like agreements. So, but other than that, he's another one with this. You said, Aquarius is really just popping up a lot so far in this conversation. I know we just got started, but you said Tory Lanez has Saturn at 15 degrees of Aquarius, which
Yes.
is the angel. What is that? The Angel's Gate. What is that? The Angel's Gate.
Mm.
The avatar gates of the fixed signs, like the Bull's Gate for Taurus
Okay.
and the
Oh, the middle of the sign and stuff.
the
Okay.
Eagles
Yeah.
Gate. Yeah, that's the avatar gate. Now, Tory Lane's having, you said Saturn there. Whoa. That tells me that this particular case, this whole debacle is not over. People who have planets at the avatar gates, that's the middle of the fixed signs, they have a major mission to they have an impact that they're supposed to bring on humanity. We could pull that up too, like the
Yeah, I was trying to get
gate.
his what was his B day again? The
Oh, I
27th of
have it.
July.
July 27th, 1992.
Okay. July 27th.
And he was born in Ontario, Canada. I didn't have a birth date for him. I pulled a solar sign chart.
Where is he currently located? Do we know?
I think
What was
he
the trial?
lives in LA or Miami. One of the two, I don't know.
We'll go with Ontario.
Okay.
And you said it's July 27th?
Mhm.
July 27th. Yeah.
Let me see what's going on in the chat. I just want to be nosy.
Oh, my sister said, hey, hey, Heather.
Well, I would welcome anyone that if they have any questions, concerns, or whatever they may be, to please drop them in the chat. We'll address everything. This is a live show, y'all. So,
Yeah.
we're just going to be over here, as my partner says, shooting the Willy Bobo of the year astrologically. So, yes, please drop in your questions or your own observations as well. Where is Ontario? Why is this taking me forever to... I can't see. Am I going blind?
Nope, no, hopefully not.
No, that's not a way to end the year.
No, it's not. But I am soon in my current location. I'll be soon, I think like in 2 years, progressing to Sag rising. And that will affect my eyeballs. Okay, so I am going to put Tori, since we don't have a time of birth here, I'm just going to put his sun at the ascendant. If you
Okay.
guys want to, while I'm doing that, let's.
Okay. You want me to pull your screen, leave your screen like it is? What you want?
Yeah, I'm going to switch
Okay. So
the window.
there we go. Then you can do it again and it'll let me put it back.
And for anyone who doesn't know why, if we don't have a time of birth, we deal strictly with the solar chart, which means putting it at the ascendant. So we're reading him strictly as a Leo sun and his placements thereof. Just to clarify that. And I like to be perfect.
And as Maria said in some of our other videos, you can see the motivation behind things by doing that. You shouldn't think that just because you don't have their birth time that there's no information contained in a solar chart. Is it letting you share it again?
Yep, here I am getting ready to share Tori's chart.
Okay. There we go.
Let me copy the link. I'm still sharing, so.
No, I appreciate you, Ty. Take your time. Yeah. Take your time.
Is it not showing up? Do we not see the chart here?
I put show on screen and it's just like
I saw him Elon Musk in the middle of the screen.
Elon Musk was in the middle of the screen, but we done with his. No. Let me try this again. Okay.
Should I give you the YouTube link? If is that
you can use or on Facebook you can use this. It's streaming live to Spiritual Gangster Certified if you want to show it to anybody there. It's not showing me anything on your screen for some reason, Marie. It's like blank. When I put it up there, it just comes up as blank to me. I'm not seeing it.
You know what? Let me just share my whole window and personal life and business. Just to get this going.
Really nice.
Well, the live wouldn't be any fun if you didn't. Okay, there we go. Now, okay.
Okay, right. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have any of my financial stuff, but if you see X and X dot, no, I'm just playing. I wouldn't. Okay, so it's showing my whole screen, but it's still not showing my animated my solar fire for some.
Do you have to pull it over to that screen? Or is it you have?
Oh, you know what? I do. I have multiple screens. There we go.
Okay.
So this is Tory Lane's chart. We have him at his solar degree, which is 4 degrees and 36 minutes of Leo. So we can see that this is because just to give a brief overview, your ascendant, which is what we want the time of birth for, is your avatar. That no matter what your sun sign is, we will see you as what your avatar is and your behaviors as such when it's your ascendant sign. Now, because we don't have his time of birth, what we're essentially doing here is ripping apart his avatar and really seeing the motivations of who Tory Lane is according to his natal chart by the sun. Now, the thing is that we may not see these actions portrayed in public or outwardly because this is not his ascendant. This is not how he actually behaves physically. Right. These are the motivations behind his physical actions. So whatever his ascendant may be, let's say that if it were Aries rising, then all the things we're seeing in the chart right now would come out in an Aries way versus coming out in a Leo way, if that makes any sense.
No, I get exactly what you mean.
And Kari said, what site do you use for natal charts and solar charts? This is the professional program of Solar Fire.
Solar Fire.
But when we don't use Solar Fire, I highly recommend that people stick with Astro, which is astro.com. There are some good mobile ones. Astro Gold is Solar Fire's mobile app.
Those are the two I use.
And Astro Visor is another good one, though I don't believe they're on iOS. They're on Android. But that's pretty much as far as I go to. I don't like pretty looking charts. I want to see degrees. I want to see minutes. I want to see equal houses. I don't want to see, square boxes and grocery. What did you say? Who said that, Janae? The grocery list?
Astrology.
Yeah, no grocery list
of your chart. No. Don't give me that. I know people don't know better. I relied on it before myself. No. No, absolutely against it.
Yeah, you want to keep it in a wheel or start learning to read glyphs and degrees and minutes and the wheels and learn to, because this is like a snapshot picture of if I want to speak metaphysically, the way our world is. We're circular, it's 360 degrees and
Degrees.
everything is connected. And looking at a wheel kind of puts you in that mind frame that this is all connected. If I were to fill in every planetary placement and aspect, this can make it look like a spider web. You know, we like to keep it simple. You could put all that information you want in your chart, but 9 times out of 10, it's unnecessary. Uh, you can get a lot just from sticking with the basics for the
Right.
beginners, you know.
Now, whose chart is this?
This is Tory
Tories.
Lane's, and this is
Tory
his
Lane.
solar chart.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Um, this is a really controversial situation. This Tory Lane's verdict.
Mm-hmm.
We can say verdict now. I was about to say court case, but the court case is over. I think anybody in the chat who is a Leo, who knows a Leo, who's married to a Leo, friends with a Leo, or Aquarius, like really, Saturn being opposite your sign, Leos. That means that other people will show up in your life as the regulator, the person that's whipping you into shape with respect to your maturity, your responsibility, how accountable you are for your behavior. That is what Saturn in the seventh house means, right? I mean, you guys want to chime in on that?
Yeah, it's the authority coming in.
It's the authority coming in. And I mean, it's clearly evident that, Saturn return. Marie was talking about the Saturn return earlier. For those people who do not know what a Saturn return is, in the man-made law, you are an adult when you're 18. They tell you you can, run your own life legally without your parents, having a say at 18. You can go into liquor stores at 21, etc. But in the cosmos, you are an adult after you cross 28. And Tory Lanez is in his period of a Saturn return. Every 28 years, Saturn returns back to the position it was when you were born. So he is now in his first Saturn return. It is a very controversial milestone because, there's something called the 28 Club, if you want to Google or research
Mm-hmm.
this in your own time, where some people have reached the threshold of 28 years of life and they didn't make it over to 29 and 30 and 31 and so on. Many people have transitioned at 28. It's a very, very controversial milestone in astrology, so to speak. We all, many us, three here, we've had our first Saturn return.
Yes, we have.
And it's a period where you will be challenged. Your knowledge will be challenged, how you handle crisis and situation, because as a child, you look at life through the eyes of a child. And not to bring biblical scripture into it, but there's a scripture that says in the Bible, when I was a young man, I looked at life. When I was a child, I looked at life through the eyes of a child. And when I became adult, I put away childlike things, or something of that nature. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
the Saturn return is where you will be challenged to put away childlike things, because now you have to see life through a more adult, mature, knowledgeable, responsible, accountable perspective. You have to do that. And Tory Lanez is in the thick of it, as they say. I mean, who wants to possibly be sentenced to 23 years in jail maximum while you're having a Saturn return? That's extreme, but I mean, ultimately this is and Megan Thee Stallion, who is an Aquarius, and Aquarius is the opposite of Leo. So the partnership house, the other person house, the open enemy house for Leo, for Tory Lanez, is Aquarius. And it can, I feel, be deduced that Megan Thee Stallion played that role for him. Would you not say that?
Yeah, well, she is definitely the catalyst for for this prominence in his Saturn return. And it doesn't bode well for Saturn going into Pisces, because Pisces is the institution, that's the prison. So by the time he does end up, getting sentenced, or if they take a while, it could indicate long time in prison. Looking at that, and just to go back to what you were saying, you get hints that you're due to change before your Saturn return gets here. That Saturn is a 7-year cycle.
Yes.
And talking about moving to adult things from childish things, it goes the same way when you're 0 years old to 7 years old. When you reach 7, you're no longer a baby. You're no longer a toddler. It's time for you to take on a little bit more responsibilities. You're going to school. You have to listen to teachers, things of that matter. Then when you reach the age of 14, which is your Saturn opposition, now you're not playing with little toys anymore. Maybe you're wanting to date. You're in high school. You're starting to feel yourself a little bit, become rebellious. A lot of people who have children, when they reach about the age of 13, 14, 15 years old, they find it being the most difficult. Well, it's difficult for the child because they're experiencing their Saturn opposition. And then you come to your next Saturn square, you're 21 years old. So you're not doing what you did when you were 14. You're not in high school anymore. You can buy liquor. You're transitioning from, okay, now I'm in pre-adulthood. It's time for me to feel my way out there in the world. I get a little bit more freedom to do what I want to do. And then when you come to 28, it's like what you did when you were 21 no longer applies here anymore. It's not going to work for you anymore. And if you take the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion kind of event, what they were doing, or they're partying, they're getting drunk, they're arguing and acting like 20-year-olds, right? And here comes this Saturn return saying, yo, Tory, you can't behave like this anymore. You can't just hang out with a group of people and be getting drunk and acting all wild and out and fighting with each other and stuff. That's your 20-year-old self. You're 28 now, or you're 30 now. It's time for you to start moving into, how are you going to leave your legacy? How are you going to solidify getting ready for your next Saturn square, which occurs around the age of 35, 36 years old. Now you're getting closer and closer to thinking about being an adult, into retirement, taking care of family, making sure your finances are okay. And if you're still doing what you're doing when you're 20 something years old, by the time your Saturn return comes, either you're going to go willingly or you're going to be forced to. And here he is being forced to. You can't play childish games anymore.
And
You
I just
can't.
wanted to address, I'm sorry,
No,
I
go
saw
ahead.
more comments. Black Tina Media said, I thought it was 27. It can be that early too. My Saturn return, I have Saturn in Virgo. It entered Virgo. Saturn entered Virgo when I was 27, but my return wasn't exact until later on. But the 27 Club, like that Kurt Cobain is in, Amy Winehouse, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, that's I think what she was referring to. Yes.
Yeah. And
Okay.
the exact is the degree. The degree that your Saturn is your exact Saturn return. And that's about a 2.5 year transit. So it can happen at the beginning if you have Saturn at 0 degrees, or
Mm-hmm.
it can happen at the end. But if it's in your sign where Saturn is, Saturn's pissing in the pool. And if
Yeah.
your Saturn is in the same pool, you getting pissed on. That's
You know what? You know what, guys? I gotta really bring light to this. Okay,
yes.
so for everybody in the chat who's extremely knowledgeable about astrology, moderately knowledgeable, or not knowledgeable at all, the reason why I'm gonna comfortably speak for everyone. I know the reason why we all do this is because we want to share this knowledge and impart this knowledge on people so they realize, like, hey, we're in an organized universe. These these numbers don't lie. These degrees don't lie. So you see how his birthday is July 27th? Do you know what
Yes.
you're supposed to sentence him? January 27th. The exact 6 month opposition.
Oh,
I can't
wow.
make this up. So July 27th, Leo, January 27th, Aquarius. Like literally 6 months to the date from his birthday, that's when he's being sentenced.
Wow.
Make these things up. Now, like you said, his Saturn is 15 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
I can't have to use my phone because I can't even see these small numbers on the screen.
Oh.
So I'm looking at my phone. You said his Saturn is 15 degrees, the avatar gate of Aquarius. His Mercury is 15 degrees of Leo, directly opposite. Mercury,
Mm-hmm.
Saturn, whoa. People who have Mercury, Saturn aspects, that's watch what you say. You have to be
Yes.
accountable for what you say. That's a serious thinker, a serious talker. Not only that, he has wow. Um, okay, today Venus is 17 degrees of Capricorn. His natal Neptune is 17 degrees of Capricorn. I believe because he's going to appeal. They already have the post up on the Shade Room saying that his lawyer is going to file an appeal. I believe because Venus is exactly conjunct his Neptune, I think that's a disillusion of a legal decision. I feel like he could possibly win the appeal. Why? Because Venus is on his Neptune. Venus is a legal decision, is it not? It's legality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
legalities.
Neptune dissolves things. This is how we use astrology. This is how we do charts for our clients. This is how we come to conclusions. It's not all psychic. I got my crystal ball and my cards out. No,
Hell no.
No, it's work.
Venus conjunct the person's natal Neptune would tell in Capricorn would possibly imply that the legal decision may be dissolved at a later time. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I would say we would still probably have to do a progress chart on it because it can go both ways. It could still say
Yeah.
that he's imprisoned because the Neptune also, as much as it dissolves, it's imprisonment as well.
It's jail. It's definitely jail. A lot of 15 degrees. As a matter of fact, his Uranus.
Yeah,
right there.
15 degrees of his Uranus. Now, here's another interesting possibility. You said we have to do the progress chart to see, what the placements reveal. But 15 degrees, Capricorn conjunct the 17-degree Neptune, where Venus is today. That could be freedom. That could be freedom from a legal decision too. Like that could possibly, when you progress it, like you said, you have to, assess. But Uranus, I don't know. For some reason, I'm seeing that the appeal may work in his favor. But again, we'd have to look at the date that the appeal is going to happen, etc. But
I'm looking also at, even though it's a very wide orb, right, from his Pluto having that square motion, because what do you call it? Saturn is at 21 degrees, so it is squaring his Pluto. And one of the things that I noticed in his case, which might help with his appeal, is them not using DNA, them not even giving any credence to the DNA, which is the Saturn to DNA, Pluto. They didn't use Saturn, which is using, they did not use the DNA as definitive. If there's one thing that I read in there, they said, it's inconclusive. His DNA is not on the weapon. And doesn't that matter for something? And the argument was, well, just because DNA isn't there doesn't mean that everything else doesn't matter, which is interesting to me because a lot of our exonerations for people who have been falsely imprisoned, it has been because of DNA. It is one of the staples in our legal system to prove whether someone is innocent or guilty. And for this particular court case to say that no, DNA doesn't matter, I find very interesting. and trying to look at just in the transits what its indication can be for Venus being in Capricorn, what they're using and not using in legal court cases. I think that's important, and that might be brought up going along with you saying that he'll appeal, is the fact that they completely dismissed that he had no DNA on the weapon itself. This is, of course, my speculation based off of what I'm looking at.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That definitely wasn't taken into account.
Horrible that other people who were involved in the case, their DNA was found on the weapon. This is a really bizarre situation. I was under the impression that in the court of law, there has to be like beyond the shadow of a doubt.
Right.
This person is guilty. And if you're finding other people's DNA on the weapon and contradicting stories. How was there a conviction, rendered beyond the shadow of a doubt that, I know that the counts were, I think, like discharging a firearm, possession of a fire. The counts weren't like attempted murder or, it wasn't like that. So I know, but the charges that were filed, he was found guilty on all of those charges. And I can't, that part is confusing to me, because if there was question, like there was contradicting stories, there were motives that popped up. She and the girl were both sleeping with him, so their friendship was strained. So it was an issue of betrayal. Again, the Saturn and Aquarius thing. Like, what about your friends, TLC, like Janae, like in your post, where you talked about the importance of really being selective, choosing the people with whom you interact. So
That's
all
right.
of these things came up in the case, and I was like, well, it doesn't sound to me. Now, I didn't follow it every step of the way. I'm not gonna lie and say I was like glued in and I know every detail, but I do know that there was a lot of contradicting evidence, and there were just question marks. So I'm really kind of perplexed about the situation. I'm not saying how I feel about the verdict one way or the other. I'm just saying I'm confused, because there was so much just bizarre, like contradicting pieces of information that were put out at different points in time about the friend and Tori, and who's mad at who and who had the real motive. Because if you stabbed me in the back and slept with Tori behind my back, and or you slept with the other 3 or 4 guys that were mentioned in the trial, like you slept with 3 or 4 guys that I slept with, like that would I would think be a motive for someone to, if they were fighting, there were witnesses that she and the girl were fighting each other. So I'm just confused about the situation. I'm not trying to say I'm knowledgeable about the case to where I can say one way or the other that the jury was completely like
Here's the
wrong.
charges, Ty. 3 felony charges. The first, assault with a semi-automatic firearm. The second, possession of a concealed, unregistered firearm. And third, negligent discharge of a firearm.
Right, not attempted murder.
Right.
Not,
No, I'm just saying. So,
yeah.
the things that we're looking at that you're saying, like you're trying to see how everything lines up, is that they would have had to prove, as you said, that he assaulted her, because that's the first one, that he was in possession of a concealed, unregistered firearm. So there's several components to it. I was just pointing those out. I'm wondering if anybody picked up anything in the chart at all that would point to any of those things. But also, hold on, let me look at I keep neglecting the comments. I'm so sorry.
Wow, he's got North Node at 0 degrees of Capricorn. So his North Node like came in with it, like it was activated by the solstice.
The
Wow.
sun, yes. Whoa.
Wow.
Ma'am.
Wow.
Now, do you have Megan's birth information, Marie?
I can get it.
I didn't know if you wanted to look at it separately or perhaps together. I mean, I thought I have the date. I do. Sorry, on my iPad at the same time.
Okay, so hers is February 15th. Can I do a bi-wheel here? Let me see. Of course I can, but still. Oh, I gotta put the birth date in first. Order.
Pluto in Scorpio in square to Saturn.
Like Tina
we'll have to do her.
I'm just glad he is getting off the street so he can't do this to another woman. I was reading a lot of information regarding like other altercations with people, not specifically women, but what are your thoughts on those? Either of you have thoughts on that?
On the morality of what's going on?
On as far as his interactions, violent interactions with anyone else.
Hmm.
I
Well,
wasn't. I
I
never
don't
heard that
know.
he had any altercations or disagreements with women that went
Black
public.
Tina might know. I have to look it up again. I just read this the other day because someone put up an entire
List
post.
of things that he's
Yeah,
done.
they made an Instagram post about it. It was like a lot. Hold on, I'm trying to find
Oops.
it.
I'm trying to scroll. Chat. See in the chat the questions. Well, while we're getting that together, like we were saying, for those of you who have those inner planets in Leo and Aquarius, you should have been able to see in the media several different situations um, with individuals who have planets in Leo or Aquarius. Like you should have been able to see like the consequences of being irresponsible with respect
Even
to your circle.
even the fixed signs period. Like I
Yeah.
said, when I brought up the whole Amber Heard thing, that's a Saturn in Aquarius, and she's a Taurus sun, if I'm not mistaken, which is Uranus over her sun and Saturn squaring that. So fixed signs, where whatever sign that Saturn is in, all of the matching signs and elements of that experience something from it. So I would say definitely Leos and Aquarius, but also Taurus and Scorpios have been getting the business.
Somebody said, is his Mars in Cancer? No,
No,
Mars is
is
at
in
critical
Gemini.
degree, 0 degree of Gemini. Yeah. So technically, you know, he's having a Mars return by sign, not by degree. I don't think Mars is going to retrograde back that far to 0 degrees, but I mean, yeah, Mars
I'm
and
trying to
Gemini.
find it.
They said I'm too blind to see the chart. Is the chart really that small?
Um, I guess
Yeah,
it really depends on what you're looking at this on. Like, it's huge to me because I'm
Yeah,
looking
I
at it
see
on
it
a
on
real
the
big screen.
computer. Right.
But
somebody said Taurus been getting hit.
Oh, holy
they're getting
hell.
squared.
Let me tell y'all something right quick. He's a fucking Leo, right? Yeah, okay. And she has Mars in Leo. Anybody want to attest to what it's like when someone's Mars is near your sun?
I do.
Yeah, you either fighting, fucking, or both.
Yep. And it's usually both, but a lot of fighting.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen,
And you know what? Mars near the sun. What I personally have experienced is the Mars person is there to either motivate you, like they can motivate you. That could be the positive side of the exchange, right? They can
Yes.
motivate you, but it's also a little bit of competitive energy too.
oh, of
Oh yeah,
course.
You know what I mean?
antagonizing as well. Usually, the Sun person will consider the Mars person to be annoying under certain circumstances, um,
Yes.
and I've seen it a lot with abusive relationships that Mars conjunct the Sun. Namely, myself in my own experience experienced a Mars conjunct my Sun, and it was volatile.
Mine
Um,
too.
so seeing that Megan the Stallion puts Mars near his Sun.
And you know, they had a fight like prior to the whole quote unquote shooting or whatever. The
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
argument was about whose career is legit and whose career is not. That's
So
supposedly the
the competition right
yeah.
there is
Right.
showing that. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I just wow, because that was not a fun situation for me. It was in reverse though because it was my son that was affected by a male's Mars, and
Yeah.
it just felt like my very presence was competition, like was fueling the Martian "let's go" fire. But in this case, any aggression that I guess he would look to her to be showing would just make her mad. And I just can't imagine what this had to be like to go through. Number one, in such close corners, they were saying, I mean, if you remember some of the details that were initially released, all the talk of the fact that you know she didn't want to tell on him because
Mm-hmm.
of, and all of that going on, which is reminiscent of a lot of the Saturn in Aquarius energy that we were dealing with. Because we had the lockdowns, we had all of the protests and the different things after the events in 2020. Just to add all this extra added stuff, there's sleeping with the same people. Is somebody mad? Like, who feels like the whole truth is just not on the money, like, or
Mm-mm.
is something that's going to really be uncovered? Is this just a bunch of he say she say, since we don't even have his DNA on it? Not that I'm taking up for him or her, like, I want to say that too to people. In viewing things astrologically, we're trying to be objective based on what we see. I don't want to just go with,
Right.
oh well, I don't want to hear any woman has been shot, but I do want to know what the truth is.
Right. I just feel like there were layers. There were just layers between him and her and the other girl and him, like
Yeah.
all three of them together. Like the witnesses, like they were all fighting, like, and then the girls were fight. Like it's just messy, like to where I'm surprised that beyond the shadow of a doubt, he was found guilty. But again, what is it when you said possession of a firearm? Okay, that's a fact. There was a gun there that I could see. Um,
Mm.
dislodging a fire, like I don't know, but somebody in the chat said, "Is the Mars person violent?" It depends. It could be violent. It could be sexual. It could be motivational. It could be uh. How else can this be play out? Just it could just be
Drugs too,
Selfishness,
selfishness.
yeah.
aggravation, things of
I
that
can
matter.
I can tell you, she said Pisces, so that's what I was dealing with, a Pisces Mars man on my son. There was nothing that I could do not to aggravate or get him riled up in some way, in competition, in violence, sexually. He had a drug problem as well,
Now,
which is one indication of Mars in
yeah.
Pisces.
Yeah, that's the same. I had the Mars Pisces thing too. Now, I will say this, if I'm going to be completely unbiased here, and just remembering that in his solar chart, he has Mars and Gemini in the 11th house. In her solar chart, she has Mars and Leo in the 7th house. Both of those things say, um, for him, Gemini in the 11th says shooting friends or friends
Mm,
shoot.
It
mm,
does.
And
it
Mars in the
does.
7th, and Mars in the 7th says, I shoot my partner or
Shoot
my
my
partner
partner.
shoots me.
Yeah.
So they technically have friendships shooting, and she has either she shoots her partner or her partner shoots her, could be one of the indications of Mars in Leo in the 7th house.
And again, if anybody's just tuning in, we are using solar charts. So we're putting the sun on the ascendant to look at the motivations for the people involved. We do not have birth time for Tory Lanez or for Megan Thee Stallion. It does not mean that there's not information to be derived from here. And this is showing clear there's a lot of information that one could get.
Mm-hmm.
This is fascinating.
I would also add as well what Saturn in Aquarius has shown in these in two particular or actually in three. Let's take Amber Heard's situation with Johnny Depp
Mm-hmm.
and Megan the Stallion and Tory Lanez and Shanquella Robinson. And one of the things that I find is a common theme, and we've discussed this, was the friendships, right? Each all three cases had something to do with the circle or the social group that they were a part of. This is also Saturn opposing loyalty, which is Leo.
Mm-hmm.
So there has been this situation of misplaced loyalty, right? We see
Yes.
that's choosing your friends, but it's a lot with misplaced loyalty as well, because if you look at Megan the Stallion, there's this loyalty of, well, I don't want to get us black people in trouble with the police,
Yeah.
instead of it being my safety is in danger, fuck these people. And
Yeah.
knowing when and when not to be loyal to someone, knowing when and when not to cut off people. Now, this entire Saturn transit, I have been making posts about, yes, you want to cut off those that aren't useful, but be mindful that you're not cutting off the ones that are useful, the ones that are there for you, and maybe in a particular situation they just were not capable of being there in the way that you wanted them to be at the time,
Right.
but it doesn't mean that they're not there for you. So the Saturn coming into this loyalty and who to be loyal to, what I see it transiting as the results of, because the second house of anything that's happening is the result of what happened in the house previous to it.
Exactly.
So if we have Saturn in Aquarius dealing with social network, with technology, with friendships, opposing the sign of loyalty, then we get Saturn getting ready to go into Pisces, which is breaking apart the being disillusioned or living in an ideal world or fantasies and things of that matter. It breaks down a person's ideals where they have to face reality, and this structure of friendships and who you were messing with and who you weren't. If that isn't taken care of before Saturn transits into Pisces, then all your ideals about what happened over the last 2.5 years are going to be something you have to face, and it can cause a lot of sorrow for a great many people, or you may find that you're utterly alone.
Even Tori with in the Venus is in what is it, Leo?
I'm looking for it now. Hold on.
I had it up on the one screen and I had to switch screens because I pulled up Megan Thee Stallion's chart.
Yeah, I have her chart up right now.
Yeah, so I forgot, but I know that I think it was Pluto in Scorpio and Venus.
Venus is in Leo.
Yes,
16
Leo.
degrees. Conjunct his
And the
Mercury.
Pluto is 20 in Scorpio, right? So you have a Venus, people who have Venus Pluto aspects, and in this case Venus square Pluto, you know, shooting your partner, or the whole idea of shooting the partner over issues around sex and jealousy and betrayal, that's Venus Pluto. So that shit is in his chart, okay? Right? Like Venus Pluto square, like Pluto in Scorpio and the Venus in Leo, which, you know, Venus and Leo people are usually very well liked. They're often people are often very attracted to them. And this was a situation where both women were attracted to him at some points because they both had intimate relationships with him.
Yeah.
This Pluto is women, well, women fighting over you and trying to control you, and jealousy and rage, and so all of that is in the chart. So I'm saying that to anyone who's in the chat listening. Venus Pluto aspects in a chart indicate Venus Pluto aspects in a chart can indicate control issues and maybe violence even around your relationship dynamics. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Okay, let's see.
This is a synastry of their solar charts.
Okay.
Tori is in the middle and Megan is on the outside.
Okay. I was interested to know. Actually, I thought about looking at a composite between them too.
Yeah, well, we can see that her somewhat sandwiched right in between her Mars and Moon is his Mercury and Venus.
Yeah.
They definitely, you know, it's clearly evident there's a karmic connection, if you will. They had an appointment in this life, you know, and obviously it's pretty controversial.
Extremely.
Megan having Jupiter in Sagittarius, you know, its rightful home. People with Jupiter and Sagittarius are often very lucky in certain circumstances. Even getting shot and not dying is a lucky kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
indeed.
So, you know, and people, I often heard a lot of people when they were discussing this case say, well, if he had aimed different, she wouldn't even be here right now. That's what, you know, her supporters were very passionate and very emotional about that, saying, you know, had, you know, the gun, you know, been aimed, you know, maybe a couple inches higher than her toes or her feet, you know, she wouldn't be here. So I look at, you know, the Jupiter in Sag, and, you know, it's just a very favorable kind of like fortunate placement. Unless it, you know, there's adverse aspects to it usually, but Jupiter and Sag is pretty lucky, would you not say? Or
yeah, no, I'd agree that it's.
I'd agree.
Yeah, she has her Jupiter and her Saturn damn near perfectly square.
Even the Mars in Leo, the Jupiter in Sag, the Mars Jupiter trine, super angry. Super. You have to remember, like, there was a major volatile fight, like physical altercation. I don't know why Kylie Jenner was not like summoned to court. I don't know. This happened after her party at her house. Tory Lanez was allegedly in the pool with her. Well, these things were confirmed, so I guess maybe I don't even have to preface it by saying alleged. She was in the Tory Lanez was in the pool with her, flirting with her, and that's what triggered, the problem. They were like, leave. Then Megan left a shoe or something in the pool. They had to go back, and then somehow or another it blew up, and then he's telling the other girl, the friend who was in the car with them, Megan's not your friend. You and I, we're sleeping together, and then Megan came behind you, and she and I were messing around. You were messing around with the baby, and then Megan started messing around with the baby. You were messing around with such and such, and so it was a whole like weird Venus, Pluto, Venus, Pluto, harsh aspects, kind of like, I don't know, backstab, betrayal, Saturn, Aquarius, friendships that fall apart, like jealousy, like multiple relationships kind of thing. It was a mess. That's why it was almost like a soap opera to keep up with the details every day, watching these various blog sites, like posting, like every day there was a new update. And I was like, wow, this is really crazy. And people were like, it could be made into a movie, a Netflix. And like, people were just, it was a lot. So
I'm just gonna say that fucking celebrities, if you don't have an astrologer, get you one. Lord, because I'm looking at this solar, because this is my first time actually. This is a live react, right? And this is my first time looking at their synastry for a solar chart, and I'm all like, "What the fuck, stupid shit is this?" Because why would you want to? Let me look. Just okay. First of all, his Mars opposes her Pluto, like perfectly. Okay, like what the hell is that about?
She could have died.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, one, that's dumb as hell. On top of it, what? His Mercury, her Mercury opposes his sun, so y'all wasn't even gonna be able to talk. Like, so I'm just really looking at this chart and wondering. The only thing that I can say was that this was a lesson. This was just a lesson bringer. I would have never recommended. What do you think about this? I would have been like,
No. Right.
They're Jupiter square. Like, come on now, look at this. This is some wild ass. Y'all shouldn't even. His Venus or her Venus opposing his moon, all this stuff right here doesn't make for
not at all
a relationship that would just be wrought with difficulty, and they would have to be mature to get through some kind of synastry aspects as this. And even then I wouldn't have the greatest faith in it whatsoever. His Saturn is in the 12th house of her Saturn. Like, she's up next. While we think this is over and done with, she's coming up on her Saturn return, which she has to deal with for the next 2.5 years. I would recommend that you just really honestly, and it sucks to say this, go into hiding. Not like that. I'm just saying you might want to chill.
Isolation.
You might need a little reflect time for the next 2.5 years and revamp, because that Saturn return in Pisces. So just overall, I'm looking at their whole chart, and y'all celebrities need to get yourself an astrologer, because this right here is goddamn this ridiculous. I wouldn't have done this. I would have looked and been like, no, I don't think so.
No.
Absolutely not.
Saw somebody's post say something like, "You did all this for this little ass man," like being involved with this tiny man. And I have to say, I'm a tall woman. I am 6'1". The person that I had issues with the Mars Sun thing was shorter than me, which was another issue.
Yeah.
Too much ego involved here.
Yeah.
Too much competition, too much ego, too much resentment, too much need for control. That not even skipping over the fact that when it comes to music and who's on social media, they both have Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn. Who would want to control that? controlling their presence, or who has the most respect on these platforms and things that matter. Like it's too much of battling going on here. The simple fact that their sons, even though not by degree, by sign, oppose.
They don't even think about
that's a battle within itself.
Yeah, they don't view life the same.
She's having a Venus return.
Yeah,
she's having a Venus return. Like,
I mean, so that would bode well for her for any legal troubles in the present right now.
Exactly. Exactly. I didn't know that. But yeah, her Venus is 12 degrees of Capricorn. So she had a Venus return a couple of days ago. Venus is legal matters for anyone who in the chart who's wondering why we're saying that. Venus is legal matters. So she had a Venus return like maybe 4 days ago.
Whoa. Y'all. We'll have to keep an eye on it to see how things line up with what you've predicted, what you see as possibilities, based just on us hearing about this verdict today.
Well, let's just say this. If Saturn's about to wrap up this transit in Aquarius, like not tomorrow, but soon, Saturn going into Pisces, let's just say, because we don't know, like none of us have said Megan Thee Stallion was 100% telling the truth and Tory Lanez was lying. Tory Lanez was telling the truth. Megan Thee Stallion is lying. We didn't really take a position either way, but I will say this: Saturn in Pisces is consequences for lies.
Yes.
So that's coming up, real soon to a theater near you.
To a theater near you.
Yeah, like, so somebody, all we do know is somebody in that case is lying.
Yeah.
Somebody's lying.
So, and there's going to be something to pay for it. Saturn is definitely going to want you to own up to that lie with Saturn being in Pisces. Ooh, y'all.
Yep. So there we have that.
Well, that was fresh on the mind as far as things that have occurred this year and the different transits and stuff that have impacted this. I think we're going to just give like a little 2-minute break. Or is Marie back? I was about to say I was going to give you a quick. I never played our intro. I am mad because I was so...
if you want to give us a bit of a break and allow some people to come up with some questions, we can start answering more of what we see in the chat, and then possibly moving on to, I don't know, Saturn is coming up in Pisces. It would be a good idea to see the ingress of Saturn to see what at least that 2023 could possibly bring us for the year.
Okay. So I'm going to have a little break and then I'll play our intro. We'll come back. We have some more things to talk about. Please stay tuned, you guys. Thank you for everybody who joined us. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for watching.
Yes.
We will return shortly. Okay. Hold on. Let me come back on the
I'm
screen.
coming. I'm coming. My coffee literally just finished, like right now. I was rushing.
All
I didn't
right.
even have to. I had to put my robe on. It's cold, goddammit.
Yeah, it is cold.
Woo.
Woo!
There we
Whatever you
go.
got to do to stay warm, do it. Oh, look, she is ready.
I went and got that's my caramel macchiato Starbucks creamer because I don't leave the house to go get Starbucks, so he got to come to me.
That's
We
right.
subscribe to that in this house as well. We definitely do. But y'all got me thinking too about bringing up Mars and Gemini, since that's something that we're going to carry with us into 2023. What
Which
y'all
chart do you want to
experiences
look at? Do
been?
you want to look at the when Mars goes direct, or just look at the chart for today?
We can look at the chart for today to start with.
Biome.
I
Here we
know
go.
Ty had warned Sagittarius's in content that we did about, opponents, people being brought their way, that transit being that. But for everybody, I think I just have been trying not to really interact too much needlessly online and social media, arguing with people. It has backfired because I damn sure did get in arguments, but I limited them.
Yeah, people tried it. They tried.
Ty said they tried it. That's about it.
Yeah, they did. They tried.
Big time.
They weren't successful though. Not with me. I have Saturn in Gemini, so
You put a stop to that shit.
I was like,
Yeah, people were trying to hurt my feelings with it because I got Chiron in Gemini, but I've had Chiron in Gemini my whole life. So I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. Uh, but definitely what made it more pronounced was the fact that Mars is at a trine to Saturn. And I've mentioned this before when I talked about astrology and the aspects. They'll believe that because it's a trine, oh, well, that must mean all the good things for those planetary energies are supposed to happen. No, no, ma'am. No, sir. It means that the energy easily manifests itself. It's naturally there. So having something like Mars trine Saturn in Aquarius could easily say arguments online, disappointment, disagreements, and such and so forth. I don't know why my tongue just decided it wanted to tie right then and there. The Chiron and Gemini, because I talked about his ass. Now he's like, oh yeah? All right, let's just twist your tongue. But it does make it easier for the disagreements and the hate, if you will, to manifest itself online, having that trine. I have actually become more of a lover of squares than I have of trines throughout my studies of astrology, because I find that the pressure for something needing to be done is there with the square, but there's this sense of pause that makes it frustrating to actually make it happen, which can also be a stop to certain things happening as well because they were square. It took too much work to get it done, where a trine can make it very easy. Even conjunctions can go both ways as well as making it easy to happen. You see a Mars conjunct Pluto run the opposite direction. I'm being funny, but I'm being dead ass serious.
That's serious. That's dangerous.
Yeah, that right there, boy, takes real maturity to handle that. I do not envy those with Pluto conjunct Mars at all, and blessed to those who have it.
Hopefully you're built for it, because that's heavy.
Yeah. So saying what you were talking about with the Mars in Gemini, I made an entire list on my Facebook of everything that has happened since it went retrograde, all the events that have occurred. And some of it was Mars related. Everything else, of course, was because there were aspects with Saturn and what was happening with Pluto and the eclipse and things of that matter. But just to bring up a couple of incidences that occurred that do match with the Mars retrograde. The moment that Mars went retrograde, let me pull this over here. As a matter of fact, I wonder if I can pull it here. The moment that it did go retrograde, 151 people were unalived in Seoul during a Halloween crowd parade or gathering or whatever the case is.
Jeez.
Um, and other things that have had 100 people were unalived and 300 more were injured in a bombing in Somalia. So we're talking about fire. We're talking about people being injured, which is indicative of Mars. There were 141 people that were unalived in India when a bridge collapsed, which is actually more indicative of Saturn and Aquarius, because that's a bridge falling apart or breaking. There have been, and just to give a couple of more, there have been gas explosions, there have been missiles, bombings. There have been, just to go with Ty talking about or making emphasis about that Mars opposing Sagittarius, there were the UVA students that were locked down because of the gunmen.
Yeah.
There were students killed at the Seattle High School. This is all indicative of, at the moment that Mars went retrograde, that these
I'm
things
gonna
were
show your post,
experienced.
Lori, if you don't mind.
Yes, you want need me to stop sharing, right?
No, that's okay. I can still, you could leave your screen as it is. I can still.
Okay. Oh, got it.
So,
oh, yep, there it is. There's that list.
it was trying to make it bigger.
Hey D, I see you.
Yes, D. And also for Black Tina Media for your participation this evening too. Peace to you as
so
well.
much.
Thank you, Black Tina.
Okay.
But yes, this is everything that has happened since Mars went retrograde. But like I said, it is not solely just Mars, but it does have to do with the aspects. There's a lot of Uranus and Taurus going on in there with U.S. news and finances, celebrity unaliving. I don't know why I laughed right there. It's because I'm trying to come up with a better word than just death, I guess, because social media.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a pretty extensive list. It spans about 3 months up until December 18th. That can show, and I grouped them as best as I could into what type of events they were that go with what's been transiting over the last couple of months since Mars went retrograde.
And some of the celebrity deaths and stuff.
I feel like people have been irresponsible with their speech.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Jupiter was in Pisces, that square there with Mars and Gemini, Jupiter and Pisces, it was kind of like, say the most outrageous combative thing you could think of, and then you'll have to apologize for it publicly, because Jupiter was in Pisces, which was the 10th house of Mars and Gemini, and Pisces in the 10th is a public apology. So that happened quite a bit. Probably won't be seeing too many apologies though, now that Jupiter is not in Pisces anymore. People just kind of standing on their positions, but
I could see that.
yeah, I don't really think there'll be too much apologetic, too much of an apologetic tone going on. Remember, like, that was going on. Remember they, tried to make Kanye apologize for his statement.
Right.
Kyrie Irving apologized. Like, apology was the big theme at the time when Jupiter had retrograded back into Pisces, of course, at the 10th house of Mars and Gemini, which again is why the apologies were public. There was a big emphasis on apologize so that everyone can hear it. Apologize.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Clear this up.
And then when Sagittarius season came about, then it was a whole mutable T-square between Mars and Gemini, Jupiter and Pisces, and then the Sun and Mercury or Venus, whatever, and Stellium that was in Sag at the time. So it was just like, say what you want to say. Don't think about it first. Be impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
The most extreme thing you can say, and then you'll have to apologize for it in front of a whole audience full of people. Like, that was a real theme for a minute. I was observing. And it was very vexing and triggering for me, because having the moon in Pisces and Neptune and Saturn and Gemini, it was like I was like, wait a minute, no, don't apologize, don't, like,
right.
But
well,
yeah,
that Mars and Gemini makes for a very impetuous, flighty thought. Gemini energy anyway, as just being an air element, is very flighty. And what I see in conjunction with Uranus and Taurus, um, having those two energies play a part, is that I'm finding, or I'm seeing quite often, that a lot of people are arguing about things that they think they know what they're arguing, but because that moral switch is going on with Uranus and
Yes,
Taurus,
sometimes.
their morals aren't solidified to be having those arguments.
Yep.
For the simple, okay, so here goes just an example and I'm talking about the group think, right? Not particular individuals. Just you can see that there's a common theme when, if you have 10 people and 9 of them are saying that's, and one is saying, then you see the majority, right? So that's what I'm speaking off of, or referring to.
Right.
So there was the great argument about what was happening with going back to Megan Thee Stallion and how there's no protection for, this is the argument, right? And mind you, Mars and Gemini is the 12th house of Cancer.
Cancer.
There's no protection for women. No protection for black women. They don't stand up for black women. They don't think about what she's going through, her mental health, and her livelihood, and all this is everyone against the black woman. And then on the same platform that the story was posted and the groupthink was having that conversation, comes the conversation of the woman who was clearly in distress and probably mentally unstable, holding a woman at gunpoint at the Walmart. And the comments started going into, they ended up shooting her. The police came and they shot her. She didn't make it.
Yeah.
And the comments completely switched to, that's what she gets. She shouldn't have went in there. If you had a gun pointed at me, I hope somebody would take you out. And that was the groupthink of it. And I'm all like, what happened to the black woman has mental health issues and we need to help. And why did they just come in there and not talk her down? She didn't shoot the woman. She was holding her hostage, demanding that the news come there, or for journalists, this is a Mars and Gemini thing. I'm holding someone hostage so that the journalists can appear, right?
Right.
And she was unalived instantly. And there was that same argument did not apply there.
Yeah.
So I'm finding that even going through everything that's posted, there's no constant, there's no consistency with moral for argument. It is so flighty that it applies here 1 second and it doesn't apply here the next second, and it applies here this second and not this second, and it's been disturbing for me to say the least with my experience, because Mars has crossed over and is crossing near my Chiron in Gemini. So the wounds and healing, the being misunderstood, the not being able to say what you actually mean, like those things actually hit for me because that's been my lifestyle. So watching it manifest on social media is a disappointment. If I were to say the Mars trine Saturn in Aquarius, the arguments I see people having are utterly disappointing and shallow at the least. And the opposition of Sagittarius, which is not looking at the bigger picture whatsoever. Right. So that would be one of the analysis that I would say is what I have experienced thus far with Mars and Gemini.
It has smacked me in the face because it activated my natal mutable T-square. And it's transiting my 9th house. So I expected some kind of big shit. Marie saw part of an argument that was had online. And since it was made in public, I realized I don't have to shy away from talking about it. Right. The person made their comments in public. So
Marie put up
you wanted everybody to see if you did that. There was a post.
Sorry, I apologize.
Sure. No, you're okay, honey. What?
No, I was going to say, just because Marie brought up the whole idea of morality and how there seemed to be a lot of conviction.
But the conviction is showing what people's morals are.
The nodes are on the axis.
Yeah.
Dealing with morality. So the emphasis here is you have to develop morals. The North Node says it. Like, we've been saying that, like, even the rejection of death culture, where people, they started, I don't know if you guys, like, there was a whole issue in recent times where death culture, as it shows up in song lyrics, as it shows up,
right.
That's the South Node in Scorpio. Like, we're done with the whole death culture thing where we're celebrating, death, or we're celebrating the idea of just low morality, so to speak. I feel like that's been the instruction. Develop a moral compass going forward. And the instruction is right there in the transits, because Uranus is conjunct the North Node. So that's telling you right there that knowledge is the key. Knowledge is the key for you to develop a moral base to what you're doing. Humanity is, I mean, for the most part, it's kind of been operating in a corrupt fashion. And I feel like the nodes have been saying, like, hey, you can't proceed forth without a real strong moral base. Saturn is square the nodes. So, there's that notion of you don't have a choice. It's kind of mandatory. You know what I mean? Even Saturn and Aquarius, responsibility to people. Like, don't just think of the illest, most, destructive song lyrics you can think of where you're killing everybody,
Right.
like that South Node in Scorpio, you know what I'm saying? And then Saturn and Aquarius, I'm responsible to the collective. I don't just say anything in these songs or reflect anything in these movies or whatever. So Saturn square these nodes has really been saying, like, hey, get your morals together, because you're not just thinking about yourself. You should not just be thinking about yourself here. Saturn Aquarius, you should be responsible to everybody.
And are you in alignment with the morals of your networks and the people that you're connected to? Are y'all on the same page? You're seeing whose morals are being shaken up in different capacities. The connections that we talk about either keeping or throwing away by the time Saturn comes into Pisces. Because worst case scenario, as Marie had said, is if you make the wrong decisions about who to disconnect from, who to restrict Saturn yourself from as far as your connections, Aquarius, then you'll wind up alone, Pisces, when Saturn is in Pisces. So yeah, you're responsible to do this healthily, but things are just occurring that are very polarizing just in society that kind of make it easy, I guess, for some people to be like, oh, I don't want to have anything to do with people who believe this way or that way. But this infighting with Mars and Gemini has made it interesting because instances are popping up that are testing those things, that are definitely bringing into play, wait, what moral compass is that person on? Am I aligned with that? Because if I'm not, why are we connected type thing?
Because I can't wait for Mars to go direct. It does on my solar return. I'm going to be speaking because, God damn it, I've been holding back. And I've been trying. I'm gritting my teeth like, oh, because apology and me, we don't work out very well. So I just try to be right.
Yeah.
I try to be as right as possible because I despise having to apologize for being me or saying what I say. So I try to be right. So I'm just sitting there gritting my teeth while this retrograde is happening. But when it go direct, y'all getting the business.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw a question in here that Stanley, it's part of the name is cut off. I don't want to say it wrong. Burnett said, can you give some more examples of Mars
and
Pluto
conjunction?
Mm-hmm. Well, it definitely depends on what sign it's in. That's number one.
Is he talking about synastry or like I think you were talking about it from a synastry perspective.
Synastry perspective. So, oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think we kind of named some of the things that just to be mindful of. It can be very volatile. It's very intense. It's an intense synastry or connection, even natally. It has indicated the person either experiencing, witnessing, or coming into knowledge of violent deaths.
Yeah.
It can also indicate injuries or surgeries being made, especially to the genital area.
Head trauma.
Yeah, head trauma, as well. Trauma giving birth. This could be indicative of getting C-sections, if you will. But yeah, also a very, if I were speaking personality-wise, it can be a person who is very impulsive and intensely so.
Stanley said the sign is Scorpio that they're referring to. So that makes it even.
So you're saying like the two people in question, one person has Mars and Scorpio, the other person has Pluto and Scorpio. in synastry, and their Mars conjuncts one person
Yeah,
part.
is this a synastry or a natal? That would, if you could
Yeah, that
clarify
helps
that,
us the
Stan.
most.
I mean, it's a very intense sexual attraction, nonetheless.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that too.
definitely.
Intense desire and obsession as well. This person can be so focused on their obsessions to a detriment, but it could be for a good thing. Like a scientist having Pluto and Mars, especially one who deals with like DNA or genomes or something of that matter,
Oh,
would
you said
benefit.
navel.
Yeah,
Natal.
yeah.
What
Okay, yeah.
house?
Then
What
that
house
would.
is it in? What house is it? Is it the Mars Pluto conjunction in Scorpio? Stanley. I mean, honestly, Mars rules Scorpio and Pluto rules Scorpio. So
Scorpio.
Right.
if you have Mars conjunct Pluto in Scorpio, let me just say this. If you are a highly evolved individual, like, you're
Fourth house.
high, like high vibrational frequency, like you're, high consciousness, you have the greatest potential to self transform. Like Mars Pluto is self transformation, and at the highest, like at the lowest end, yeah, it's violence. You know what I mean? Like it's you seeing violence, experiencing violence, witnessing violence, depending on what house it's in. Oh, he
The
said
fourth house.
Fourth
okay.
Yeah.
house. There's resentment for the mother,
Yep.
grandparents, family, infighting with family.
Yep.
Grew up seeing violence in the home.
Yeah, it could be abuse of some sort, or
Yeah.
just overall having some kind of resentment for parenting.
Rejecting your family.
And it doesn't mean that you don't love your family or your mother, but you may resent some kind of way that they brought you up, or your upbringing you don't necessarily agree with, or you try to change the direction of your family, your heritage, your legacy, and your lineage. You want to be the one that brings the person who breaks or destroys generational curses if you've taken on that task to do so. And Saturn is there too. So along with the father, I would say that there's just an overall.
That's a lot of cruelty. I mean,
Yeah.
It is.
that's a lot. Like Saturn, Mars, and Pluto conjunct in Scorpio in the fourth house. You may have also witnessed the passing of some of your relatives. And that ended up being a really transformative experience for you when whoever it is that passed away, the male figure, more than likely a male figure, in your family passed away, and that ended up being really transformative. You probably rejected whatever happened to you, growing up or whatever. You reject that upbringing, but you know what? Rather than to be resentful and bitter about it, you could use it like you have the greatest potential to literally rebirth yourself.
Yes.
Like become a whole new individual, like transform from the ground up. You have that potential more than a lot of people. I always tell people if they have Mars Pluto, somehow aspected in their chart, like, yeah, you can go around and get in a bunch of fights, or you can really use that as a gateway to like really transform and rebirth yourself, like inside out. Mars is your identity. You know what I mean? So Pluto is like transformation, like the phoenix and the flames comes out like renewed. Like you can really renew yourself. He said, "Oh, Saturn, Pluto usually together in the same house. I have them both at 20." Oh, that's a different person. Hi, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Hi,
Oh, and
Rebecca.
going into hi Rebecca and Stanley too. I'd probably recommend if you're not already self-employment. You have Saturn in your fourth house with that Mars and Pluto, and it's the ruler of your sixth house. Also paying attention to your health and hygiene and things that matter. Having Mars and Pluto can also indicate that you heal very quickly as well, just because the ruler of your sixth house is in your fourth. But definitely having some issues with being of service to other people can bring out resentments or anger because it's so close to your Mars and Pluto. What was Rebecca? Rebecca said, yes, is Saturn and Pluto usually together in the same house? I have them both in. Not usually, but usually. How can I answer? It depends on when you're born, where Saturn is. Saturn would be the one that would catch up to Pluto faster than Pluto would catch up to a placement of Saturn, because Saturn takes, it only stays in a sign for about 2.5 years. And Pluto is a lot longer. A Pluto can stay in a sign for up to 20 years or so. So yeah, it can be pretty usual to see Saturn catch up and land in a house where you have Pluto. I have Pluto and Saturn in my first house in Scorpio. So yeah, they can be together. Saturn is exalted in Libra, very tactful individual until you're betrayed.
Hey, Rebecca, your relationships that you've been in recent times, and even not so recent times, just for a while now, like it's really been, you've been forced to really decide which ones need to go, because Pluto in Capricorn is 27 degrees exactly square your Saturn Pluto conjunction 27 degrees Libra. So you probably had to cut a lot of people off. You probably had to change the way you were choosing your partners, which partners were going to stick around. I mean, wouldn't you guys say that Pluto and Capricorn exactly square someone's Saturn and Pluto in Libra?
Yeah, I would also say that you've experienced probably, or maybe it could indicate that you've experienced some losses over this transit with Pluto. And it depends what house
What
your
house is
Libra
it
is
in?
in. But usually those Pluto squares are a great, people start to become either the patriarch or matriarch of their families. Because if you think about how long Pluto lasts in each sign, and when it comes down to you experiencing a square, which it will be your first and your only, you won't live long enough to see another one.
Mm-hmm.
Usually at this time, the people that you know are older relatives, uncles, aunts, grandparents, even your own parents are starting to, they're getting older, so they're reaching a stage where they might start to pass. So if you've experienced losing people over the transit while Pluto was in Capricorn, it would be indicative of that. You've been clearing house, just turned 40 November 7th, don't have the desire or energy to entertain.
Mm-hmm.
Stanley said, "You're right. You're all right about the upbringing, basically everything. This was my mate. They lost a husband early before me. That was very accurate." And
Awesome.
then, and AB said, "You're all correct. I have Saturn and Pluto in Libra in the 11th house. So definitely with friendships,
Friendship circles for sure.
killing off useless friendships and relationships
Yep.
is what you could plainly say. Libra with Saturn and Pluto and Libra in the 11th house. And also probably feeling a little less altruistic than you have been in the past. So maybe you're not as giving of the whole. How can I say that? Fuck these people. It's probably a common term. Fuck
Mm-hmm.
these people. Oh, no, man, no. I don't give a damn about what they, no.
And you learned a lot of lessons about turning friends into sexual partners. You
Mm-hmm.
learned a lot of lessons around that. That Saturn Pluto conjunction in the 11th house. Like, oh, we're friends. Oh, we're friends with benefits. Oh, that didn't work out. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's that. I've seen that happen a lot too with that Pluto in the 11th. Like, you know,
Yeah, yeah, it's a Capricorn trait too. Huh.
Of course.
that's hilarious. Look, AB said facts. I told you. I told you.
We'll lie to you.
Told you. Don't cross that line beyond friendship and turn it into lovers, because with Saturn and Pluto both in the 11th house, you know, it ends up being a hard lesson, and then the friendship
Yes.
doesn't exist anymore. Am I right, AB? He said facts.
You say you're a Capricorn
Record
sun? AB,
sun.
you know what I'm talking about. Hey, look, we just trying to get ahead, dog. It ain't nothing like that. They say they got it. We gonna give it. We gonna see what's up with it. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't work out too well when I had my Saturn return, though. That motherfucker came in there and said, "You cannot fuck for contracts anymore. Stop it."
Wow.
I was just like, "Look, we trying. Look,
Lord.
you trying to do something? I'm trying to do something. What's up?"
That's hilarious.
Yeah, let us. D Nice said, "Let us cats make it." I'm just, hey man, it don't. Hey, I'm just saying, ain't nothing personal.
Hey, it may work. It depends. Like, it could work out. I mean, if you have other planets there in the 11th, you know, it depends. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like somebody who have Venus and Pluto both, you know, in the 11th, you might end up being business partners with friends, and you guys are business partners, lovers, friends, enemies, like it all. I don't know. It could, it could work.
I'm just saying that's Scorpio in the 11th house, or having Pluto in the 11th house. Even through my own experience, that it's there's almost a possessiveness when it comes to your social group as well. Like it's almost the same way like how cancers are with their friends. You know,
Yeah.
you'll have a cancer, you'd be like, "You're my best friend." You'd be like, "Here, go. I want you to meet my other best friend," and you'd be like, "Bitch, your other who?" You don't have no other best friend other than me. And Capricorn is a little bit more subtle about it, but internally we like, if you're in my social group, I own you,
Yeah.
or I possess you. You belong to me, and so you get real suspicious about anybody else coming. And go, I want you to meet my other best friend. You'd be like, your other, okay. Soon as I get home tonight, I'm pulling up that fucking chart.
Oh, well,
He has Mars on
Virgos
the
and
11th
Cancers
too.
both, because Cancer's having Taurus in the 11th. So
Mm-hmm.
that's having long-term friends. And then Virgos having Cancer in the 11th. So they see their friends like family.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know? These comments are hilarious, but
AB said I have Libra Mars in the 11th too.
Libra.
wow.
So fighting with your social group too. You'd be fighting with them. You know,
Yeah.
but you're also probably the leader of the pack. I would imagine seeing that if you're in a group of friends, or you're even in the
Take charge.
relationship, that you take charge, or it's about what it means to you at the same time of what it means to the group. So it can almost be an indication of, if it's good for me, then it's good for the group. If it's not good for me, even if it is good for the group, it ain't good for the group. Because I'm in the group, goddamn it. So if it ain't good for me, no, it's a no go.
That's hilarious.
You also gotta be careful with fucking them friends
He
again.
said I have Pluto trying my midheaven, and I definitely mix business with pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Black Tina.
Yeah, going in there getting desirable over there.
AB said always captain. Absolutely always captain. See?
Yeah. You said you haven't met them kind. What cats y'all describing?
Oh,
Listen, I personally know. Hi, his name's Pharaoh. Hi, D. Now you know.
You over there
Yeah.
Piscean in the third now, ain't you? Huh? What you
oh.
talking? You ain't gonna know what I'm thinking.
Right, right. But that's
Oh, I
hilarious.
love it.
You know, whose chart is that on the screen?
Oh, this is
Oh,
just the natal
that's
chart
the
for right
natal
now.
chart for now.
By the nation, because since we're doing this live and everyone's located everywhere, this is Washington, D.C.
Okay, for
Mhm.
Mars retrograde, for the day Mars went retrograde.
No, this is right now
Right
at
now.
Oh, right now,
9:47.
the current
Yeah,
transits.
the
Okay,
current transits.
okay. Yeah, well, you know, Capricorns, y'all got a whole Capricorn party, a stellium going on
Definitely a
right
Capricorn party going on right now.
And I already have a Capricorn party because I have a stellium, so all this is all over my shit, and I'm loving it. I like it.
I like to hear you like it.
I'm used to Pluto being all in my business because it's been there for how long now? Since like 2008. So if
Yeah,
Capricorns aren't
20
used to
years.
Pluto being in Capricorn by now, you've been missing out. But yeah, so there's a lot going on for Capricorn energy. I did make a notice, I think on my Instagram, where I said to be mindful about spending this year, especially because this is how the winter solstice started, just like this. And Venus being in Capricorn is also indicative of restricted money. And with it being from Taurus, that Uranus in Taurus, because Taurus's ruler is in Capricorn, that sudden spending could bring disappointment. I don't know how true it is. I'm not a fear mongerer in that sense, but apparently there's this notice that there's absolutely going to be a recession next year. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to
I have
the
grudgingly.
U.S. Finances. But there's been a lot of behind the scenes government wise that it's been, our finances are hanging on the brink. They just keep doing shit.
Well, what's crazy is that Capricorn season began with an exact square between the Sun and Jupiter. I found it interesting that Jupiter was 29 Pisces, and it literally crossed the line, went into Aries, 0 degrees Aries, when the Sun came in to Capricorn, 0 degrees Capricorn. So Sun Jupiter square already just, Sun Jupiter means literally doing too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So coming into Capricorn season with the Sun Jupiter square in that chart, the solstice, the chart, the day of the actual solstice when Capricorn season began. And then the moon, of course, was in Sag, extreme emotions. It just kind of like, in terms of looking at the tone for Capricorn season.
Who is overspending right now for Christmas? Who doing too much?
Well,
not me.
I didn't say it was me. I just the energy of it speaks to that.
I made an investment. I put it to you this way. I made an investment in, that I thought was, but I weighed out everything and I looked at all of the data and I said, oh, I'm supposed to make this investment.
Oh,
So,
well, that makes sense then. I mean, again, I know, again, we talk about squares and people go, oh, negative, negative, but also opportunities for growth. If you did your due diligence, I believe in you. But
well,
no,
all this trines Uranus and Taurus
yeah,
too, so
definitely.
and it depends on your Virgo energy puts Capricorn in the fifth house of investments. So having Venus there in the house of investments would make perfect sense, especially if it was something that was digital or online or whether it was Bitcoin or NFTs. Every time I say NFTs, I want to slightly throw up in my mouth. They haven't gotten it down packed yet, and I still don't see its usefulness. So that's just me. I've tried it, so I've given it a shot. But yeah, but
someone is asking where the comments are for us to read. I don't think a lot of people we're live not just on Facebook. A lot of the comments are coming from YouTube. This is also on the Spiritual Gangster Certified YouTube page. So that's where we're seeing the bulk of some of the comments from Amanda. Even though I see yours coming from Facebook, we're streaming on multiple platforms right now.
Yes. So that's why we'll try to read out the comments. So that way nobody gets too confused.
Yeah, we were just reviewing Mars retrograde in Gemini and then of course the current transits now where Venus already trine Uranus. Okay, that already happened. All right. That happened already. Yeah, about maybe 3 days ago. Venus, Uranus. I will say this.
Oh, it's my lunar return.
Ah, okay. You having a lunar return right now?
It was this morning at like 7 something. I'm a 3-degree, 7-minute Cap moon.
Oh, you had a new moon on your lunar return. That's dope.
Right. Winter solstice hitting off. Let's see, what else do we have going on here? Oh, the reason why I said about being overzealous or doing too much. Did somebody already mention that? Is that what we were talking about? The Jupiter square, the sun?
The sun.
As soon as, yeah. And then its ruler being in Aquarius. So the online shopping. Doing too much there. What about Venus Chiron square? Depends on where. We need more details. What sign is Venus in? What sign is Chiron in? If you have a degree, that would be helpful so we can see how tight that aspect is.
Venus Chiron, Sun Chiron, all that. Venus Chiron already happened. Mercury Chiron already happened. Mercury Pluto is coming up in about 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, we're getting ready to go through a Mercury retrograde come the 29th.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Mercury retrograde in Capricorn.
Yep.
That may bring up the issue of speaking with integrity.
Yeah. The ruler of Gemini. Absolutely.
Definitely hope it does. It's not my personal ebony side. Wait a minute. Well, Venus.
Oh, you're just
right now. Oh, okay.
Oh, you're just talking about the transit.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Danielle.
Yeah. Okay. That needed. I didn't know if that was a natal.
Venus and Chiron in square. Yeah. The exact day, I believe that may have been about maybe a week ago when that Chiron, that Venus Chiron square was exact. I believe.
I can bring it back, but I'm pretty sure that's it. I would have, if I was paying attention to it. Can't pay attention to everything.
Do you guys, let me ask you this. Do you feel like the war with the Ukraine situation is going to intensify now that Jupiter's back in Aries?
Yeah. Because when Jupiter came back into Aries, one of the first things that happened was the Ukraine president came to visit the U.S.
Oh, and asked for some more money or something like that?
Yeah, Venus, Chiron, right about... I have an issue with being exact.
No, we know by now.
I'm all like, put that minute on there. Because it also puts it in the house that it needed to be when it became exact.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm almost there. Okay, now I can go by the minute. There we go. Of course, it was...
It's funny
because... like 20 minutes worth of time here. Okay.
I saw some interview recently, clips from it, really quickly. I don't know why this came across my mind, but the Krishan Rock, the whole situation where she was saying that she was like ready to have a baby.
No.
You saw that clip?
I saw it.
I'm ready to have a baby. And she, very, very transparent and spoke about having 3 abortions, but now she's ready. I was like, wow, there's a real interesting, like, naivety there. I don't know. There's like I wasn't on the episode where you guys broke down her chart.
That's okay. I was going to show a clip from it just so we can feed right into what you're saying, because regardless, I trust your astrological acumen, and I don't... Y'all just check this out real quick.
Damn. She's only following one person, and guess who the fuck she following? This nigga. Oh yeah, she made a tweet, said Blueface is the best person in the world. I really don't trust anyone but him. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh sis, it's giving Stockholm. I don't want to say that their relationship is giving Rihanna. Like how they used to always get into it and fight and shit. And then I look at her being a Pisces sun and her having that Aries energy. I'm like, how ironic.
Because she did say that there was a spiritual connection.
I don't even know why I can't shake this. Something spiritual, like it's too deep.
She's right and wrong. It's a karmic connection. His sun is in her 12th house. So there is definitely a karmic debt, and he does cause her sorrow. He shines in the place where her sorrows exist. Him having Saturn in Aries, it's like the cat that swats at the mouse before biting it. It squares his moon and squares her moon as well. There's this conflict with anger, and they are both very violent with each other based off of their emotions.
When you're thinking of oppositions, literally think of a fight, like a boxing match.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I'm going to just say this. It's giving very much, obviously, delusional, meaning that you make your own. Where's her Venus in Pisces too?
Oh my God, I can't remember that child placements. You would think I would.
As many charts as we look at, you'd be a superhero if you did.
It's probably saved in my screenshots. I can probably tell you. I'm just going back.
Yeah, Black Tina, it is very sad.
I didn't know his chart until I watched, the recap that you just posted here. That you just shared here. Okay, his Aquarius sun is very much giving detachment. What I got, you guys probably remember the details.
Oh, her Venus is in Pisces.
Of course, that's what I was saying, because Venus in Pisces is having the ideal relationship, fantasy, like having this picture of the ideal relationship. And she's literally the relationship that she's in with him in her head is not the one that actually exists in reality.
Right.
That's very Venus and Pisces, Sun and Venus at that. The Sun and Venus
She got Sun conjunct Mercury in Pisces. This is all falling in her solar 12th house.
What's her rising?
So we didn't have her rising sign because we didn't have the birth time. So we put her 24-degree Pisces Sun on the ascendant.
Okay.
So that put all, because like her Venus is at 1 degree, her Mercury's at 2 degrees. So it puts all that, you know.
Oh, Saturn is coming over that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's next too. This is like if the Tory Meg thing was an actual relationship. They manifest, because isn't he also going through his Saturn return? One of them is in a Saturn return, right? Is his Saturn in Aquarius? No, Blueface.
No, they don't have that yet. His Saturn. Let's see. Hold on. Found this chart. No, he's Saturn in Aries.
Oh, so he's got some time.
Yeah, there's
so she's gonna go through her Saturn return first before him.
Well, no, her Saturn is in Taurus. So
neither one of them.
It's just that Saturn is going to be on her Mercury, her Venus, her Sun.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be on her Sun, which is going to feel like a Saturn return for her, a mini one.
Which is the same for him because he has Saturn going over his Sun.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what they're experiencing. The mini
and he's
return.
Got legal issues too around the gun.
Yeah. He was just arrested. Same thing.
He's got legal issues about discharging a firearm and then whatever possession of, what I see here is, like I said, he's giving extreme detachment, consummate Aquarius. Not sure if his other inner planets are in Aquarius too. I know his Sun is, but I'm not sure if the Mercury, Venus, and Mars are there too. But he's giving extreme detachment. I'm going to tell you what I observe. And I would be curious as to where his Saturn is.
I'm going to pull up the I think I'm just going to bring him up. I sent them to Marie too.
I'm getting from him that he is in love with the way she's in love with him.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Sometimes people aren't necessarily in love with the person. They're in love with the way the person is in love with them, which can be a little narcissistic.
It is.
Because she, obviously with Venus and Pisces, is genuinely in love with him. That can't be debated. Her judgment is completely clouded.
It is suspended.
But with him, I'm waiting for you to pull up his chart because there's something going on there where I'm not saying he doesn't care for her, he doesn't love her. I don't know, like, again, what synastry does exist between their Venuses or their Mars, or what planets are having conversation with each other between their two charts. But I just really, when I see them, I'm like, he loves the fact that she is completely just imbalanced.
Yeah.
And emotionally over him. It's a very, very major ego boost for him. So I got to see where this Sun is, if it's aspecting Jupiter. I want to see where the outer planets fall.
Well, they definitely have parenting issues. There was aspects when we did do their chart dealing with the mother and the father and just those that are in charge of their guidance, if you will, is volatile.
Yeah, and they got into a fight, him and the dad.
Oh, I just saw that on, yeah.
Him and the dad got into an altercation. I guess it was
and her and his mother got into an altercation.
Yeah, that's the altercation where she lost her tooth.
Yeah,
I thought she fell on a table or something, and on that show, I could be wrong. I don't know. And lost.
I just feel like Saturn coming through Pisces and instantly, like in that first decan crossing her Venus, like that relationship is done. Like if it doesn't end by choice, it will end by force.
Yeah, usually I just from what I've seen in a few, this doesn't apply to everyone, but when the man is going through harsh aspects, such as Saturn going over his sun, the woman sticks by. But when it's her turn to go through something like a Saturn over her sun, the relationship usually falls apart. Same instance like when a man is going through his Saturn return first and the woman will stick by him while he's going through his struggles in a Saturn return. But if her Saturn return comes next, you usually don't see that flip flop to the other side.
Can y'all see
I
that?
mean, whoa.
There's hers, Ty.
Okay. Looks like I'm gonna have to pull that up on my phone.
Oh, I'm sorry. I make that
No,
big.
no, it's not you. It's
no,
just,
but it's small if you
it is
depending
small,
on how
but
you're looking at it.
you know,
Let me see.
that's hers. Okay.
Yeah. Dang, it says it's at 200% already. It don't. It does not look like it. Essentially,
I can see it because I had to blow up my screen, but I see it now.
She is the consummate example, though, of imbalanced Pisces, meaning that when you really are too submerged in your imagination and it is really affecting your judgment, your thought process. She is really an example of that. You know, I mean, it's almost like, and you can see the genuineness, like it's really not an act. She really believes that she's in a fated relationship, which she's right. She's right.
Mhm.
But ultimately, like, I need to see this
It feels faded and karmic to her, and we had mentioned in that episode to her. I said, "Oh no, it's like Pisces energy can sometimes like continually sacrifice itself, and nobody asked you to do that. You know what I mean? It just comes built in with it. I am the mater." So
self-sacrifice, yeah.
yes, a lot. Like I'm sure we've seen a lot of their interactions that have been caught on film online. That to a lot of people, that looks like it looks ridiculous to people. So they would never in a million years put up with that sort of behavior within a relationship. But this is even me kind of like telling on myself on the negative side of Pisces energy when I was in a tumultuous, abusive situation. Like I was so quick to forgive, so quick to just okay, no, we're gonna skip realms now, and now everything's back into my delusional fantasy of how things are supposed to be.
And her Venus conjunct Mercury, with having Mars in Aries and then the moon in Cancer, which is a square within itself. Uh, what I'm seeing her do is imitate her partner, and this is where it comes into the narcissism or being a victim of or narcissistic tendencies,
Mhm.
which would be indicative of anything Pisces. You have Pisces, you're going to run into it, it's going to come to you, you're going to exhibit it, or you're going to be the victim of it. She imitates or she becomes a copy of what she thinks the ideal partner is for him. And
Mhm.
since he likes himself so much, she turns herself into him, because that would be like the greatest, the whole what is that? Imitation is the
It's the
greatest
best
form of
flattery.
flattery. Right. And if you look at her from the beginning, she used to be very, I guess you would say, kind of meek. She had her, she was competitive, but she was still sweet, if you
Yeah.
understand. She had a
I mean,
very
she's
sweet
innocent.
demeanor about herself. Whereas it's transformed since being with him, all her mannerisms are very masculine. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but there's an imbalance with it when it comes to
Yeah.
her. Did you see her on that clip where they went over to that streamer's house? She put a hole in his
On the
wall,
wall.
and the way she was I'm gonna eat my food like a dude, sit with my leg, do all it, like, what I'm saying, like, you gonna be all right, you got money, you know what I'm saying? Like something that her partner would do. And since she looks at that as, well, he enjoys himself so much, I'll just imitate his behavior, like looking in a mirror, which is probably what he sees, because it's also a facade. Venus in Pisces can put a disguise for the partner. I will
Yeah.
disguise
That's a
myself
fact. That's
for
a
the
fact.
partner. So she is disguising herself to, this is what you want to see. Unfortunately, there's the breaks. You know, you can't maintain an illusion for only but for so long. So every time there's a break in the illusion, does the discord come out? Does the fighting come out? Does the battling, when they realize, perfect example, you ever smoke some really good weed and you're sitting in the house and all of a sudden reality sits in when you get that bad one and you're just like, this is where I'm at? The fuck is this? The walls ain't looking right. That person used to be attractive. Now I'm seeing everything, and like the illusion starts to fade away and you see it for what it is. You're going, I am not touching this shit again. What is this? That's what the Venus and Pisces will do.
And it's at the earlier degrees, so it's as Piscean as you could possibly get. Pisces Decan, Pisces Dewad, like
right.
Shadow side delusional is all fuck. Yeah.
I'm looking at Blueface's placements. I couldn't for some reason.
Oh yeah, we have him too.
I'm looking at his placements, and he has, you know, being an Aquarius sun, but he has a stellium in Capricorn, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter and Neptune. All in Capricorn. There's stellium in the 12th house. So that Venus, Jupiter, Mercury, Neptune. So Venus in the 12th house in general, often the relationships, people who have Venus in the 12th house, their relationships are very fate oriented. Like they feel like either they want to be with the person, but something's blocking them. We can't, you know, people are like, I don't know what's keeping us from being together. That's Venus in the 12th. Or it just ends up being a very karmic. So him having a stellium in Capricorn in the 12th there, he ends up having controlling partners. Listen, here's the irony of it. You think he's the bully, she's the victim, right? That's the outside. But really, with that Sun and Venus in Pisces, believe it or not, she feels like a controlling partner. Remember, he's a Sun in Aquarius, and he's Uranus in Aquarius. Uranus in his rightful home. He does not want to be held down. He does not want to be contained. You know, Sun Uranus in Aquarius, and then having like that stellium in Capricorn in the 12th is like relationships end up being oppressive and controlling. You don't even see it coming. It's like I'm. You know what? By me not choosing a side, because I know everybody's like, he's the narc, she's the empath. You know, he's the bully, she's the victim. But no, like they're both playing a role in this karmic.
There's some codependency issues in here too.
They're both playing a role, and her playing the victim after the fights and the disagreements. No, you are in denial. This man has been I even saw a clip. Sun Uranus in Aquarius. Matter of fact, his Pluto and his Uranus are in a perfect sextile. Perfect sextile. Like this. And, you know, here's the funny thing, right? His North Node is in Libra and his Mars is in Libra. So what does that mean? That Mars and Libra conjunct the North, like you're going to be fighting partners, right? But if the North Node in Libra, you're here to learn compromise. You're here to learn how to meet the other person in the middle. Like that South Node in Aries, he's used to being selfish.
In his own way. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The South Node in Aries, he's used to being selfish. The Sun in Aquarius, he's detached. And I feel like she's just in denial about it. I don't even think he's lied to her. I think he's been very candid with her, but she has the Sun and Venus in Pisces. So she's going to create the narrative that she wants to hold on to about him. And does he manipulate and take advantage? Of course. Like that's low vibrational Aquarius. Y'all don't.
Yeah. And he also denies any responsibility with any of it either as well. Yeah. That's that Saturn conjunct the South Node opposing Mars conjunct the North Node in Venus. So it comes to fighting, you know, reasonable deniability. I'm not taking responsibility for it.
No shade to Aquariuses. No shade Aquariuses who might be
watching. And Capricorn in the 12th. I don't know. It wasn't me.
In the 12th. Integrity is not really your thing.
No.
I'm not agreeing to that. Did you pull hair out? I I ain't even.
No shade.
Look, I
Like,
was just
I'm just saying, like, so
almost
he's
slipped
not.
out of my
That's why he
chest.
doesn't feel bad about any of this. Like,
Yeah, he takes no responsibility for it
No.
whatsoever. And in the same instance that he may be detached because he has Venus in Capricorn period, it doesn't mean that he doesn't enjoy the control. And he does enjoy being able to have what he deems as his. You know, that's the whole thing with having all that in his 12th house in Capricorn doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't do these things or these things happen to him as well. On the other flip side, these are the secret things that he wants as well. So having Venus in Capricorn, he also has secret relationships. I wouldn't deny that. You
Yeah.
know, he has
Venus in the 12th.
messing around with his baby mama. He's already admitted to that.
But that's the thing. I don't believe he's kept that from her 100%. I think she's been explained. Hey, this is what I do. This is who I am. This is what I think she's been told. And he's been manipulative at the same time. I'm not saying he's innocent, but I think she's refusing to accept a reality because of the degree to which she's so emotionally invested in him and attached. I mean, that's the low side of Venus and Pisces. I'm in the relationship in my head that I want to believe exists. You know, relationships in your imagination, Venus and Pisces. So
yeah, and he has it too in the same sense. Venus in the 12th house is Venus and Pisces.
Yeah.
A karmic match. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Both of them with those planets in the 12th. Girl.
And he can be controlling. He has Jupiter at the critical degree. It's Jupiter at 29 degrees of Capricorn. He's very controlling.
And being very manipulative, especially about his group having Pluto and Sagittarius in the 11th house.
Oh, check this out. So he has Saturn at 2 degrees of Aries. What does that mean? Within the next couple of days, Jupiter is going to be on his Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
In a couple Weeks, Saturn is going to be on her Venus. And they're about to mark. We should probably earmark this because
Okay.
I promise you,
2 hours and 15 minutes in. Got you.
Jupiter on Saturn in Aries. What do you guys see that? What do you guys predict that how that will play out for him? Jupiter crossing his Saturn. Probably what, 2 days from now? Let me see. A week from
Where's
now.
Jupiter at now?
0.
Okay.
I think.
Let's look in Astro Gold.
Wait, where's Jupiter? Jupiter, yeah, 0 now. And it's going to be 2 degrees.
Days. Let's see. Change it to days.
Coming up.
It'll be...
Jupiter goes to 2 degrees on January 8th.
Happy New Year.
January 8th.
Yep, because it happens like 11:17 p.m. the night before.
Yeah, January. Yep, like.
And it's on its south node too. It's within 2 degrees of the south node.
Opposite. Jupiter opposite is or Jupiter conjunct the south node. Yeah, Jupiter north node is 2 degrees. Wow, that's so January 8th. Everyone, I don't know who's in the chat. January 8th. Let's watch and see what happens with Blueface.
I need to write the date now. Just 1 second.
Wow, Jupiter conjunct your Saturn, and Jupiter opposite your north node. That will be the. Oh man, that may be the fight that just defines the relationship.
You think so?
Jupiter conjuncting the south node. Jupiter conjuncting the south node exactly. Jupiter is what? Big. It's big lessons. Like it's higher learning. It could also be travel. I know it could be travel. I know it could be obviously publicity.
It could be a planned fight. We have to remember that their show was just released on December 11th.
Yo, good call, Marie. We did talk about people manipulating, not necessarily from the aspect of telling them what to do, but maybe even encouraging it. Because someone in the comments had said, like, where are the people that care for their well-being 10 years from now? Hopefully they'll look back at this time and be mortified because it's giving buffoonery TV. And, you know, we had identified there's some male figures possibly egging this on, but with the show there, we knew this was coming before the show was even on.
We said that they were going to come up with a show.
Somebody
put this on display.
What's up with the Tory Meg? We did that.
Yeah, we did that at the beginning, Marlon. You have to catch the replay, sir.
Ew. I don't know. This is gross. This is gross.
What,
I don't know too many people that co-sign this relationship at all.
Yeah, no, and that's the Venus and Capricorn that I see that he's in, because I can hear a regurgitation of what's being told to her, because she's made definitive statements. This relationship is over. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. Yeah. We're broken up. It's always been her to say this shit is over with. And then instantly right after, she'll come and say, fuck it, I'm going to get this money. He has Venus in Capricorn. He has Jupiter in Capricorn. About that business and all that extra shit. So she always turns back around and says, okay, I'm doing it for the money. Why would I fuck this up?
Look, this situation, this whole relationship chaos has gotten him off the hook as far as delivering music. Because the popularity that he's garnered and the media attention has all been around the relationship controversy. I don't recall any other music that he released other than the one song that kind of put him on the map. And I think she's supposed to be a musical artist too, but you know, it's kind of like the draw for those two has been the chaos. It has not been the musical catalog. So.
Oh, and I found out, remember when we said that there was probably someone with Aries energy that was controlling or dictating his stuff, right? Guess what his manager is? An Aries sun.
Yes.
And he's an older man.
Yes.
His mother's not the man. Okay.
That says Saturn and Aries, the old Saturn. The old Aries, right? The old Saturn.
The old Saturn.
His manager is an Aries.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes. So
Jupiter's about to cross that.
I wonder. Do we stay with that management?
Did he stay with them?
No. Do you think he will, given what we were talking about? Let me go back. I have her chart back up there now, but like going back to Blueface's chart.
Well, let me see. Let me find out who his manager is again.
Isn't it Black 100?
Yeah. That's what it is.
Okay, they're still in business together. Okay, I wasn't sure if the mother was his manager or something. I haven't really kept up fully, but
let me double check. Let's see what, because he's been. I think he's been there he was one of the ones that said that he needed to end the relationship with her a long time ago. I went back and looked. Okay.
He's not even supposed to be fighting like that. You have the South Node in Aries.
Right. With Saturn there.
Chill out. Yes.
That means that there'll be consequences for you not moving forward. Like Saturn conjunct the South Node is you either get blocked, right? You either get blocked, from trying to relive that past and stay in the familiar territory, or you get major consequences because you're not moving toward that North Node. You have Mars and Libra. You're supposed to be fighting for your relationships.
Fair.
You're not supposed to be fighting your relationship partners. Like, that's what I think. I don't know.
Let's see. I'm trying to see what information. He's also 6ix9ine's manager. That's interesting.
Oh, and they had a whole beef.
Wow.
Yeah. And you talk about Aries. You say he's at the Sun in Aries.
Mm-hmm.
He fights with everybody.
Right.
Look up all the controversy that comes up when you put his name, I'm sure, in the search engine. Like he has a lot of beef out there.
A lot.
So he's living up to his name. I mean, he's living up to his sun sign. I don't know much else about him, but
yeah, I don't know when his birthday and stuff is, but I know that going back and looking to see who was all in Blueface's inner circle when we were doing his chart, I found that he was managing him, and that I don't know if this was the same girl, but there was an incident where I guess Blueface was trying to throw her out of the house, and she came back in, and Whack was there, and there was a whole discord, and he fought her, or he was yelling or screaming in her face or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
I remember that clip.
You know, with this Jupiter transit going through Aries, let me just say, folks who have, you guys who have, are having your Jupiter returns, Jupiter in Aries, like, you know, as a matter of fact, Orlando Brown, not to jump all over the place, but Orlando Brown, I like in October, I think I talked about his chart or something in October, like on TikTok, and he has Jupiter in Aries, and he popped up in the news today. They posted a story because he got arrested for domestic violence. Let me just say this: if you have Jupiter in Aries,
chill out.
Like, because you're having your Jupiter return, it just does not mean get into 1,000 fights. Okay, like, or maybe it does mean that, and not. I don't know. Like,
Maria, you think they should just knuck if you buck? Like, just.
Well, there's so, you know, we choose the most common manifestations for these planetary energies and what they indicate, and it's disappointing, isn't it? Because there's so many other things that Jupiter Aries can indicate, can really do for a person or humanity or society, period. And it always seems to boil down to hot-headedness, and that's exactly what gets manifested. But there's nothing wrong. How can I explain this? I know that we have certain placements that indicate our behaviors, but it is a large spectrum, and there's two ends to both to that planetary placement. You know, so if you have Jupiter in Aries, there's all the bad that it can indicate, and there's all the good that it can indicate. And for the individual, you can move along that spectrum. Now, granted, astrologically, we understand you can't move outside of that spectrum. What you're given is what's written. But you can move within the spectrum of what you were given. So if you were given planets in Aries, or the sun in Aries, or Jupiter in Aries, one spectrum is you could be a hot-headed fighting motherfucker. On the other end, you could be a great leader. Yes. You know, how are you moving on that spectrum? You know, so you said, how does Jupiter in Aries, Marlon said, how does Jupiter in Aries affect someone with the moon in Aries? Well, going back to the low spectrum, it can indicate that you get emotionally heated and very quickly. Your emotions are very hot. I'm trying to come up with a better hot Aries. What else is it? Impetuous, based off of your emotions. Because that's a square aspect to where the moon is domicile in Cancer. This could also be that you have a very either selfish family, or you may be very selfish about your emotions, or your emotions come from a selfish place. But like I said, on the large end of the spectrum, you could be a leader for your family. You could be a leader for women. You can make initiative to bring great benevolence to women and families.
You could
and being right, you could be the martyr but not in the sense of, because there's this kind of selfishness, selfish and selfless acts, right? It's like you going to war, since we're using Aries. And this is one that I've heard Ra use many times, where he will say that in war, I'm fighting alongside you. Now, if I tell you to duck because there are bullets, that's my selfless act, is that I was here to fight alongside you. But my selfish act is that I still need to protect myself. So if I tell you to duck, you better duck. And if you don't, I did my duty, but I'm going to save me. So that's kind of the energy that comes with Aries energy, period. So you can either expound upon that with Jupiter, or it can just go into a detriment, and you're basically over selfish, having Jupiter and Aries with the moon there. Or overprotective and fighting for such protection because of the moon.
Yeah.
And emotionally impulsive.
Knowledge of self. I mean, Jupiter in Aries is like that whole, back to Kyrie Irving situation, like where it's like, watch this movie because you're going to learn higher knowledge about where you come from and who you are. And it was like, whoa, like people were, that's really honestly, like, I even think that whole situation was like a precursor to Jupiter going direct back in Aries, because Jupiter is high knowledge and Aries is your identity. So that Kanye situation, like the whole blacks and Jews and black Hebrews and the natives and versus indigenous, it was a whole like November was that. That was a big topic. Like, so
it
Jupiter
definitely was.
is the higher knowledge of self. That is, one of the, I guess, higher vibrational expressions of that transit is you getting higher, upper level, top tier knowledge about who you are and your identity. So the whole, am I black? Am I a Moor? Am I a native? What's the difference between a native and an indigenous person? Like, you could be native to a land, doesn't mean you're indigenous to the land. You know what I mean? Like, so it just, Jupiter and Aries is like, be clear about who you are, like where you come from, your nationality, culture, identity. Like, that's, I feel like, the highest expression of Jupiter in Aries. Yeah, it's a lot. It's getting in fights with everybody. That is that too. You know what I'm saying? But don't, like, Jupiter is the guru. Jupiter is the spiritual teacher. The go-to person with respect to morals and principles. That the Hierophant in the tarot. That's Jupiter. That's Sag. So we are really being instructed to do our due diligence to be clear about who we are. The term African American isn't even 20 years old. Jesse Jackson made that up. Mm-hmm. Like, is that who we are? Like, you believe everybody came over on, like they're, well, then who is here? Like, and if these people are indigenous, then who are the Aztecs? Who are the Mayans? Who are the Incans? Like, there were a lot of people all over, and we're all connected. So that conversation that came up with Kyrie Irving that just generated so much controversy and is very sensitive topic for a lot of people, because the idea of melanated people being clear about who they are, a lot of people are bothered. Jupiter and Aries, super mad. Jupiter and Aries, real mad. So
yeah, and that dispositorship, the Mars into Gemini, the moment that you get a piece of information or you find out something, you're quick to speak. Instead of quick to think. That's the other end of Mars and Gemini. Be quick to think instead of quick to speak.
Mm.
Yep.
Exactly. Everybody use that lesson these days.
Yes.
Do you want me to unshare this and just go back to us?
Yeah, because I think that we're getting towards the end.
Yes.
Yeah, getting there towards the end, because we've covered a lot for this live, and hopefully we do more, answer more questions and things that matter, because we covered the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion. We covered again Blueface and Krishan. We covered the energies of Mars retrograde, what type of things to expect with Saturn and Pisces, individual questions. We've done a lot tonight.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there were little things, like that we talked about in the previous shows, like, Chris Rock and Will Smith, and we talked about, everything, I think, throughout the year in the other shows during the year. But I guess the Megan and Tory situation, because it literally just happened today. Like the verdict came today. So we were kind of like, compelled to talk about it. So
y'all can watch it from the beginning to see that breakdown.
Yes, absolutely. And I could turn off my little festive lights here. Over here, I've been sitting there like doing this shit with
season, yes.
And I don't even celebrate, but like I said, it matched with the pajamas. So and they were gifts, so I'm gonna wear them and pretend in my Capricorn mood to be yay.
Like, really, like Capricorn is like not the festive season. Like, no. What is that?
So this is totally ironic. This is like me being a hypocrite, or I'm really making fun. I'm all like, yeah, I'm a Capricorn. Happy fucking holidays.
Right.
Just like that too, Marie.
But no, blessings and good cheer to everyone, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart. Bye, Scrooge.
Exactly.
That's what it's really about.
I had fun, guys.
Yes, I did too. So I guess we're ready to wrap up our live. And I want to thank everyone for being a part of this and joining in and asking questions. Thank you, Marlon. I appreciate it. He says salute to us. for those on the other platforms that can't see everyone's comments. But this was good. I hope we do this again soon.
Yeah, we should just probably go to Instagram and do lives mostly for on the spot
let's do
once a month.
Right.
do
Yeah,
that.
Instagram. Yeah, because on Instagram you can have up to what, 4 people on each yeah, okay. Yeah, Instagram would be good.
I think that would be good. Thank everybody for participating, and thank these two lovely ladies for always being just beacons of light in this astrological world, because there's no purpose in learning astrology if you can't apply it practically. And this is the practical application.
I just want to say I really appreciate you both. I want to say that before we close out on camera so it can be like on record. I really appreciate you guys because I'm inundated like you guys both are, I'm sure, and even the people in the chat or watching, we're inundated with astrology all day, every day on all these apps like memes and whatever. And it just becomes very frustrating to like feed the information, and it's like 37,690 likes on a post about Saturn in Sagittarius. And I'm like, what?
Yes.
And it's because the person that made the post is talking about their natal Saturn in Sagittarius in their birth chart. But the way they wrote the meme is Saturn is now going through Sagittarius. And you're like, no. So I really appreciate you guys because I know you're studious and you really care and value, you care about astrology and you value it. So I look forward to these lives because it's like, wow, I'm going to be talking to people who actually are like,
who get it, who do it.
Yeah, so I really do value that. I want you to know that that's my holiday gift to you guys.
Oh, you're beautiful. Yes. I love it.
Thank you. Like, well, that is Saturn in Aquarius. There are those of us in the astrological community who are here to maintain the integrity of astrology and show its realism and its practicality, which is all Saturn in Aquarius. So I appreciate you guys too, because it gets boring to talk to one person about astrology all day long.
Now, come on now. That's a person you love dearly. So
yeah, I do, but I am overwhelming. I will sit here and do this shit for, I'm ready to get off when I'm doing lives and stuff and everything, or when I'm doing my own videos because it's a lot. But then at home, I'm just like, and he's just like, my brain. I'm like, oh, my bad. I need to spread this wealth. You'd be overbearing, So I appreciate having this tight-knit community. This is the end of the calendar year, and we have stuck it out from the beginning of the year until now, and it just continues to grow, and I can't wait to see where we'll be next year with this.
Me neither. I see y'all for a live in January. Is this what we have to make more other content too? But I'm just saying. Y'all.
What? Oh yeah. What do we do? We always just we get the DMs and schedule.
Season. Yes, going into a new season. So for us to go into Aquarius season.
Yeah. Aquarius would probably because we have to get closer to that Saturn getting into Pisces come March.
Yep.
So there'll be a lot of preparation speaks for what to look out for that, and then for the next 2.5 years we'll be telling people what to do with Saturn and Pisces.
How fun.
Yeah, I know.
That's gonna be so different.
Yeah, it is.
Ty, it's gonna be on my sun.
You got this.
It's gonna be over my Mars and Venus, so
and it's gonna oppose my Saturn too, which
Saturn
activates a whole T-square for me. So
we're here with you. We know you're gonna push through.
Okay.
But you know what? You know what? Like, I'll say this, and I won't even hold us. I feel like I'm holding like hostage.
Okay, baby.
But no, like really, like Saturn on your sun could be you getting all the rewards
and recognition.
That you have worked to attain. That's true. If you're responsible, you have Marie could talk to you about this far.
Yes, she can.
And I could, you work. If you're responsible, you have integrity, you handle your obligations. Saturn shows up and is like, I like you.
Yes,
so,
I guess I'm scared, but I won't be. I trust y'all. And thank you again so much for adding so much to the space. The dozens of times you've done it and the dozens times more that are coming. I really love both of you.
Thank you. I love y'all too. Yeah. All right, now we gonna get the hell up out of here.
That's how you said it.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to go. You could watch the end which will be 0 minutes and zeros and stops. You can do that, but we gonna go. It's cold. I want to get warmed up.
Yeah. Bye, Stanley.
Peace, y'all. Bye, Star
everybody.
Chasers.
Peace.